Welcome back to Watch the Booker Man and to episode number 70 of Paul Heyman's TNA. We are here with the second pay-per-view of 2011, Against All Odds. As you can see, once again, we are not in the impact zone, which in terms of the gate receipts and the revenue that we can bring in from ticket sales, that is definitely a positive thing. Hopefully, as it did last month, it will see us make a profit, something that we haven't done too often since the game began. We're coming to this show off the back of the 9th anniversary Ring of Honor show, which means that quite a few people on this card have been pulling double duty over the weekend, and perhaps that will come into play as they have to compete in the second match in 24 hours. Against All Odds begins with a video package putting over the challenge that the World Heavyweight Champion faces in the main event tonight. While there is some promotion for the other matches on the card, much of the focus does remain with Kurt Angle versus AJ Styles versus Mr. Anderson versus Tyler Black. Four very different people with very different goals, but all of them looking towards the World Heavyweight Championship tonight. Following the package, Mauro Ranallo and Taz welcome viewers to the show, further promoting the toughest challenge of Kurt Angle's World Heavyweight Championship reign. We're really keen to put that point across. Before then, however, in our opening match of the pay-per-view, the World Tag Team Championships are on the line, and it is the Kings of Wrestling who retain the championships, defeating the Motor City Machine Guns in a long, competitive match. That's the difference between last month when they won the titles and this month. All four men coming into the match 100%. Any doubts about Chris Hero are quickly put to bed, and he is the one who gets the pinfall victory over Alex Shelley in 19 minutes and 7 seconds with that elbow that's knocked out many members of the TNA roster already. And this is the first defense of this World Tag Team Championship reign for them. Claudio and Chris putting in those performances that we've come to expect from them. Sabin and Shelley doing okay, but they are definitely in the rearview mirror for the Kings of Wrestling now. We get the crowd hotter with a very strong match to open the show, and following their decisive victory, the Kings of Wrestling stand tall in the ring. Mauro Ranallo and Taz putting over that while this match was much less one-sided than the one last month, it was equally impressive to see the Kings of Wrestling pick up this victory, shaking off any potential injury doubts. Chris Hero looked certainly 100%, and the commentators suggest that it's going to take a huge effort to take the championships from a fully fit Kings of Wrestling, and in that case, we may well be in for a very long reign for these two members of the New Age. Very impressed with them as always. One of the biggest positives in this save so far is how well the New Age have come into the company, and we go into the X Division Championship match after that. Roderick Strong defeating Douglas Williams in 11 minutes and 30 with a half Nelson backbreaker. He's got a lot on his mind. He's someone who strongly opposes the New Age. He's also dealing with the betrayal of Nick and Matt Jackson, but he doesn't allow that to take his eye off the ball. The hardest working man in TNA Wrestling makes defense number 4 of the TNA X Division Championship. It's a decent performance from him. He is on that mid-card level. We do want to get him to that next level, but for now, I'm happy with his performances, but room to improve. He stands tall, handed the X Division Championship following his victory, and the commentators are just putting over everything I mentioned. He has refused to allow himself to be distracted from the task at hand, and he's given a lot of credit for that on commentary. He raises the X Division title high in the air, and it's noted that between the New Age and the Young Bucks, he has got plenty to think about going forward. But for tonight, he has the chance to enjoy another successful defense of the X Division Championship. We then get the first of 4 interviews promoting tonight's main event. Jimmy Jacobs and Tyler Black interviewed by Jeremy Borash. Jimmy Jacobs begins by putting over the victory of the Kings of Wrestling, saying that tonight was the exact same story as Genesis. The difference between that night and this night, however, Tyler Black is leaving with the World Heavyweight Championship. Black adds to this himself, saying that it's funny to watch these 3 men who are part of that so-called group who declared war on the New Age fight amongst themselves. That's the difference between the Fight Back and the New Age. One is a group of individuals fighting towards their own ends. The other is a movement led by a visionary by the name of Jimmy Jacobs. Last month, things got a little bit too far out of control, even for them, but tonight, the New Age leaves with the World Heavyweight Championship. So not a great segment, not doing good things for the storylines, but I'm confident that with what we've got throughout the rest of the night, we will be able to get that storyline back up, hopefully to an acceptable level. The Knockouts Tag Team Championship match is the third match on the night, and it's another decent match as Mickie James and Tara cleanly defeat Hamada and Taylor Wilde in 11 minutes and 24 when Mickie James pins Taylor Wilde with a roundhouse kick. This is defense number 3 for them and another good showing for the Knockouts Tag Team Champions. The storyline is asking us whether Tara can keep up with Mickie. It doesn't matter tonight, she certainly does her fair share of the work, but it is Mickie who once again secures the pinfall. They're not bothered about that, however, and they celebrate in the ring together. After the match, we return then to the fourth contest of the night, and the story of this match is essentially that while these two men are very, very evenly matched and put on an excellent singles contest, it can't be ignored the fact that Samoa Joe was in action on that Ring of Honor show, and moreover, he went to a 60-minute time limit draw with the Ring of Honor World Champion. Kevin Steen capitalises on this. It has to be said that he is the fresher of the two opponents, and despite that, it still takes a low blow followed by that package piledriver for him to pick up a massive victory for him. Samoa Joe carrying the match, it has to be said, but that victory will do no harm to Kevin Steen, and it is absolutely huge for his character going forward. He raises his arm, or has his arm raised, following the victory. He has won this highly intense contest. The commentators are quick to once again remind us that Samoa Joe was in a 60-minute match just 24 hours ago. Kevin Steen will not care one bit about that. A huge victory for the recently signed competitor. He has backed up his talk and stands over Samoa Joe after the match. We then get an interview with AJ Styles speaking with Christy Hem about the World Heavyweight Championship match tonight, and he talks about his 60-minute Iron Man match with Kurt Angle at Bound for Glory, and how if he'd played it safe, he'd have secured himself a rematch at Turning Point, but that's not in AJ Styles' DNA as a competitor, and it's not something he plans to do tonight. Because of his decision back at 10-10-10, he's had to wait over 5 months to get back in the ring competing for the World Heavyweight Championship, and if he loses tonight, he could have to wait even longer until next time. For that reason, playing it safe isn't an option for him tonight in this 4-way, and he's going to leave everything in the ring to become the World Heavyweight Champion, only slightly better than Tyler Black's promo. But I did just put these in order of what I thought would be the best promo, so it's Mr. Anderson next, and then Kurt Angle will cut a promo just before the main event, which hopefully will get the storyline back up to an acceptable heat level. It's then time for Bad Influence versus Bryan Danielson and Desmond Wolfe, the latter being the most unlikely duo that you could expect to see in TNA, but because they have that common enemy, they are able to overcome their differences. It's not that they're a particularly cohesive unit, but it has to be said that they are the better team on the night, and that is proved when Bryan Danielson pins Frankie Kazarian in the ring, a dragon suplex apparently. Frankie Kazarian has benefited from that hot new move for over 12 months now. I'm not sure it is still that hot and new. I'm not going to complain as we get the crowd hotter once again with a really good match. Immediately afterwards, Beer Money look to set up on Bryan Danielson coming down to the ring. They expect to isolate Danielson, only for Desmond Wolfe. The match is over, but he still has the back of his partner. He stands his ground. They are shoulder to shoulder, something that Bryan isn't necessarily all that comfortable with, but he realises he has little other choice if he wishes to avoid getting beaten down than to fight with Desmond Wolfe once more. They stare down Beer Money, and Storm and Rude decide against entering the ring with them. Instead, they're coming to collect Daniels and Kazarian. The 4 men heading to the back. Bryan Danielson and Wolfe standing tall together is not something we expected to see, even as recently as just a couple of months ago. Mr. Anderson then puts in a good promo. I would have hoped for better, but he's the last of the 3 challengers to be interviewed, and he speaks with SoCal Val about the Against All Odds main event. Anderson airs his grievances about the fact that the rematch that he feels he was owed anyway is taking place as part of a 4-way match, and the fact that it took so long for the error at the final resolution match to be rectified. Mr. Anderson reiterates his belief that Kurt Angle has been holding onto his championship by a thread in recent months, and he suggests that tonight is the breaking point. AJ Styles may be Mr. TNA, Tyler Black may be Mr. New Age, but he is Mr. Anderson. And he's leaving tonight as the new World Heavyweight Champion. Against all odds, he is going to win that main event. We'll see whether he's right very, very soon as we move into the Knockouts Championship match, a tables match between Sara Del Rey and Awesome Kong, and it looks as though Kong is going to have the match won when she sets up for a splash from the top rope. Alyssa Flash and Mischief, we hear, are barred from ringside tonight, but that doesn't matter as there is somebody else who seemingly has it in for Awesome Kong, appearing from out of nowhere to the surprise of everybody. Daisy Hayes comes out as Kong is ready to hit that splash and grabs the leg of Awesome Kong. The challenger cannot move. She tries to shake her off, but by now Del Rey is able to get up, and it says a double underhook suplex there. I'm not sure about the logistics of that from a second rope, but Sara Del Rey is able to put Awesome Kong through the table, the 5th defense of her Knockouts Championship. We see why she's the champion with a 62 rated performance. Awesome Kong not doing so well. She's more of a special attraction at the minute, so we've not had that much chance to build her up. We're going to turn Daisy Hayes heel here. Quite a surprising moment. Unfortunately, her gimmick gets a poor rating, but she is now the latest acolyte of the New Age. We thought that Kevin Steen was joining on the male side last month, but that wasn't the case. Daisy Hayes has a huge smile on her face as she grabs the Knockouts Championship from the referee and hands it to the title holder. While Sara Del Rey is delighted and relieved to have retained her title, she's somewhat surprised by the appearance of Daisy Hayes. Maranello and Taz themselves have no answers, but when Hayes hugs Del Rey, things begin to fall into place. The commentators recall the attempt by Alyssa Flash and Mischief to recruit Daisy Hayes to the New Age a couple of months ago, and whether Del Rey was aware of this beforehand or not, it appears that Hayes has accepted the offer. Daisy Hayes raises the arm of Sara Del Rey in the ring, and while they may now be on the same team as members of the New Age, Del Rey doesn't quite want all the credit to go to Hayes. She makes sure that she stands tall alone, raising the Knockouts Championship. With Flash and Mischief out of the picture tonight, Hayes' involvement couldn't have come at a better time, but we're not quite sure where Sara Del Rey stands on this. A 69 is a very good rating after the match as we go into what is described as the biggest challenge of his World Heavyweight Championship reign so far, and Cal interviews Kurt Angle just moments before the main event. Kurt Angle accepts that tonight is the toughest challenge that he has had to face, but he says that he didn't go into this title reign expecting anything less. Being the TNA World Heavyweight Champion comes with a number of expectations, and one of them is fighting all comers and taking on all challenges. From the moment he won this championship almost a year ago, Kurt Angle has done exactly that. Every single time he has been questioned or doubted, he has come out on top with the World Heavyweight Championship around his waist. Tonight is against all odds, but Angle has been fighting odds from the moment Paul Heyman walked into TNA. Whether the threat is the New Age, AJ Styles or Mr. Anderson, Kurt Angle is ready for anything tonight. He gains heat to our main storyline and does a very, very good job as we go into the World Heavyweight Championship match. And the first thing to note is that this is a very long match. I want to say it's the second longest pay-per-view main event we've done. Obviously, we had that 60-minute Iron Man match at Bound for Glory, but this goes over 30 minutes. The booking is essentially that it is a chaotic match. Everybody comes close on a number of occasions there, or we're trying to at least create the idea with the near falls that anybody can win tonight, and almost that this is a near impossible task for Kurt Angle. Nonetheless, however, AJ Styles and Mr. Anderson are out of the picture, and Angle picks up the decisive victory, submitting Tyler Black with an ankle lock. That is a key factor, I think. The fact that last month was so surrounded in controversy and chaos. Tonight, however, with AJ Styles and Mr. Anderson both down on the outside, Angle is able to cleanly and decisively make Tyler Black tap out in the ring. A huge blow for the New Age after essentially their second go at winning this championship. As certain of the outcome as they were, they could not have planned for Kurt Angle to be in the form that he was in tonight. A 91, as always, we expect these incredible performances from him. AJ Styles doing well with an 84, considering he's not had maybe the best momentum. He's had a few big losses in the last few months, so for him still to be at that level is very good. Anderson with an 80, likewise, he has been booked quite strongly recently, but again, he did have some serious issues a few months ago, so it's good to see him back on track. And Tyler Black, while being the weak link, I suppose, still puts in a solid performance, and there's plenty of room for growth for him. He's not quite hit the ground running like Castagnoli and Chris Hero have. Perhaps they've benefited from having each other, but nonetheless, a good performance from all four men, and it's a decent rating, not quite the pay-per-view main event level you'd want, and maybe with a little bit of better announcing, perhaps if we'd stuck Mike Tenay on there, we would have got into the 80s, but I'm not going to worry too much about that because it's at least an acceptable rating, certainly better than last month's main event between Tyler Black and Kurt Angle, and it's a familiar sight for much of the last 12 months to end the pay-per-view. Kurt Angle standing tall in the ring, another successful World Heavyweight Championship defence for him. The scattered bodies in and around ringside is a testament to the challenge that he has just overcome. The shots of Black rolling out of the ring, AJ on the ground, Anderson out as well. All four competitors had opportunities to win this match during the Against All Odds main event, but Kurt Angle's uncanny ability to push himself beyond all perceived limits has once again proved the difference. We really are putting over the wrestling machine side of Kurt Angle. It seems at this point like he is almost unbeatable. He's the old guy in the roster of very, very young talent, but he still has that edge of being one of the very best wrestlers in the history of the business, and his experience shows once again. Mauro and Taz paying tribute to the incredible World Heavyweight Champion as he raises the title high above his head once again. They sign off on another spectacular night of action in TNA, where all 5 of the company's titles were defended and all 5 were successfully retained, so the status quo remains tonight, but hopefully it was still an entertaining show. Of course, you can't really have a pay-per-view without praising Kurt Angle. I'm also going to give Samoa Joe the nod, not only because he's competed in 2 huge matches in the last 24 hours, but also because he didn't complain about putting Kevin Steen over, or for that matter drawing with Austin Aries, when I do think he's considerably more over them both, so big praise to him. And also he did carry that match, and then I think it's Chris Hero. He wasn't as good as he has been, but he still deserves praise for a great performance. This roster's just getting better and better, and those 3 were the standouts on the night. Hopefully everybody has enjoyed Against All Odds 2011. I really enjoyed putting it together, and I think it has come out really well, but what comes after I'm even more looking forward to. Things are ramping up in the next few months. I've said this pretty much since January 2010, but it's true, and it's never been more true than it is right now. Some huge plans for the coming months, and the next pay-per-view is one that I always look forward to, Destination X. I'm going to say now, even though it's going to be announced on a future show, we will see the return of Ultimate X with a X Division Championship match, which I think is going to be the best we've done so far, and really not only show the progress we've made with the X Division, but put it on the next level. Could it main event? I'm not quite sure. We do have lots of things planned, as well as some debuts. Thank you for watching, and hopefully you'll join me next time as March begins with 2 more really good episodes, Impact and Evolve.